Hi, my name is Jody McNamer, otherwise known as Tyler's father. I wanted to speak with you for just a moment about something that I found quite interesting and didn't know about it until my son wrote his book, Population 1, Autism, Adversity, and the Will to Succeed. As he was growing up, it was odd for me to see his different facial expressions because they really didn't fit the situation that we happen to be in. So maybe we would be laughing at a movie and he would scowl, or maybe we were in a situation that the family was going through some real adversity or some real challenges, and he was happy. And it was very difficult to interpret all of his different facial expressions. And for years, couldn't understand why that was the case. Or maybe his expression was stoic, or again, just really not even paying any type of attention or really looking beyond you. So facial expressions were really a challenging thing for Tyler in having appropriate facial expressions. The other thing that I thought was fascinating growing up is that he would spend time in front of the mirror. And I thought, well, boy, that's kind of interesting as well. Maybe there's vanity there. I didn't know. And what was interesting was that Tyler was simply trying to see how his face worked. And it wasn't until he was able to actually get control over his face and his face muscles, then he needed to connect that with the appropriate social situation, or the way expression typically would be shown or expressed. And this was a huge challenge for him. Ultimately ended up taking him years to find appropriate social expression. And he still is challenged with that even today. So what can we do as parents? Well, number one, let's just recognize it for what it actually is. So if your child is maybe smirking about something, it's most likely not because they actually are smirking. And maybe it was that something that you had said. It's just simply they don't know how to react, how to make their face work in a way that's appropriate for the social situation. And had I known then what I know now, I would have had him practice a ton more in front of the mirror. I actually would have shown him different patterns and pictures for maybe a sad situation, or a situation where you would be angry about something, and justifiably so, or happy or excited about those things. Because first of all, again, he had to have the muscle development to be able to do that, but then also needed to connect that with different appropriate social scenarios. And so one of the things that we also used was this whole, watch, or, look, listen. And we used those pictures of, look and listen as guides, so that Tyler could look at other people's facial expressions that were possibly in a room, and then he could start mimicking those facial expressions, because that was one of the links then that helped people to be able to relate to him socially, because he actually had expressions that were similar. Now, he may not have understood what that was, and that came later on in his development. So facial expressions were a huge thing, and especially as a dad, you look at it and, maybe you say something, maybe something that was, important for him to listen to, and he would just kind of smirk at you, or he would get angry, and a lot of that was just, again, out of frustration, or I was misinterpreting the facial expressions, and ultimately then things would escalate because I would get frustrated. And all of that was just simply because I didn't understand that he didn't have that ability. So take a look at that, see if that applies with your child. Maybe practice those facial expressions. We would use different pictures, of course, and still to this day he actually has that chart in his office of all the different, I think there was 24 different facial expressions, happy and sad and excited, and all of those different ones, emojis, emoticons, I think can be used really effectively, as well as pictures, especially and being able to translate in written communication too. So hopefully that helped as a parent's providing a parent's perspective on that, and just be noticing the different facial features that your child has, how they're expressing themselves, how you could pattern that. Another real great takeaway too was that Tyler would he would rewind video, he would play it, then rewind it again and play it and rewind it again and play it. And actually it was because he was taking a look at the facial features and the interaction that people had with one another, and he was just learning, he was mimicking those things. So that also could explain why your child looks at scenes over and over again. It really is trying to have them understand the world around them, and that's one of the keys. So again, hopefully you found some value in this, and we'll continue to bring a parent's perspective.